The Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Seaboard Networks.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're so glad that you're here, because on this episode of Unscaled, we're heading into the darkness to explore the West's best stargazing destinations, from Death Valley and southern Utah to isolated sanctuaries where artificial light nearly disappears. We'll explain what certified dark sky actually means, where you can experience it without venturing completely off the grid, and how to make the most of a night beneath the stars. Some stargazing tips from the experts themselves. I think it's one of those things that's truly underrated. There's all kinds of stuff like astro tourism and things of this nature where people go, I think like the beaches and everything else get the highlights, but there's something about being under just a sky full of stars.
Yeah, it's a totally different feel when you're sitting out at night and you actually see stars, especially if you live in a city or somewhere that you don't get a lot of views of stars, and then you go somewhere and it's like a clear night and there's just a sea of stars above you. I mean, we see stars here in Vegas. We're on the edge of the city, but we can still see some of the stars. And we've driven out of town in the evenings to get better views of it. But when we were just in Alaska not too long ago, we were kind of out away from everything one night, and we looked up and it just felt like there were so many more stars. And that wasn't even a certified dark sky place. So I can't imagine what it looks like in some of these places.
I think probably most of Alaska by itself, away from the cities, is probably a dark sky thing. But there is an actual certification in a program that not only you would think like places like national parks, state parks, places like that will go through. Absolutely. But did you know there's cities that are actually designated dark sky cities, including one we know pretty well, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit.
Did not know that.
So, I mean, I think the first question is what makes a place an actual certified dark sky destination? So it's a real thing you have to go through, and it's a pretty strenuous application process, even though the application fee, I think, is just $250.
Oh, really?
So, like, you could put one in tomorrow. But to get our house designated is going to be a tricky little issue, right? So the actual certification comes from this entity called the Dark Sky International. It's formally called the International Dark Sky Association. They changed their name up a little bit. But it's a voluntary recognition rather than like a government designation. So the government doesn't go around doing all this, has nothing to do with that. Dark sky itself does not gain authority over land or towns or anything like that. It's just a program, okay? But the program began with Flagstaff, Arizona, back in 2001, which became the world's first international dark sky place.
I had no idea.
So Flagstaff became the first certified dark sky place.
That's very interesting. I had no idea.
Which it means, now there's a lot that goes into it. Of course, now you can go on their website, darksky.org, and like really deep dive into the program, what all has to go into it, because there's a certain amount of like lighting and light pollution that can be allowed and things like that. And Flagstaff has really, over the years, just kind of poured their whole identity around that, because they absolutely have that telescope.
Yes,
the observation,
like the planetarium.
Yeah. They have that that's been there for years and everything. So, excuse me. But what does it take to qualify? And here's the part where I'm just reading it off, right? Parks themselves must demonstrate that the Milky Way is normally visible to the naked eye. Dark sky uses can't read, Dark sky uses sky quality measurements, not somebody walking around outside and going, yeah, it's dark.
It's dark. I can see some stars.
They actually use some science behind it. So a park ordinarily needs at least 67% of its existing outdoor fixtures to comply with its approved lighting plan when it applies. That can mean replacing fixtures, lowering brightness, or shielding lights so that they illuminate to the ground rather than the sky, which got me thinking about a place I visited in Canada called Métis Crossing.
Yeah.
And their whole, they do the domes that you can rent, and it's the sky domes that have the stars out
with
at night.
The glass top of the dome.
Exactly. And they were saying that they were working, they either just got designated or they were working toward their certification to be dark sky certified. And they noted that most of their lighting around the property, it's really well lit, but it's all facing down to the ground, and they have covers over it so it doesn't bounce up to the sky.
After you went there and you told me that, I started noticing a lot more places that we were going, especially places outside of cities, are transitioning to this type of lighting. It is all down facing lighting, so you're not looking into any light bulbs, and it's almost like ambient lighting around the ground for safety, but there's not a lot of like eye level and above lighting. It is more like path lighting than anything.
Exactly. So like you could still see where you were going. I was never like thought, I'm going to trip over something or whatever. But there was like you just said, the large overhead lights that are just bright in your eyes. Most of those, unless it's absolutely necessary, don't exist around the property.
Because we've also been a few places where we thought, this will be a great place to see the stars at night. And then there was, I know you're going to know exactly which place I'm thinking of. I'm not going to call them out. But we got to our cabin, and literally right outside the door was a giant street light shining down on the cabin we were staying at.
We're like, what is
and it
this?
Was lit up so bright all night long. It kind of ruined the vibe.
The Lord himself was returning in the middle of the night, but no, it was just the light outside of our window. So applicants need a lighting management policy. We were just kind of talking about that. Maps, documented sky measurements from them, public access, community support. So they need the community to get behind this. And most importantly, educational programming. They have things about the dark sky initiatives. Some of those things we saw in parks like Death Valley. We saw a lot of their, the little signs.
The signs that talking about the dark sky. Yeah. They were actually in Death Valley saying how they were starting to lose their dark sky, requirements because light pollution.
The encroachment from Las Vegas and Los Angeles over the mountains.
Which is so hard to believe.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of sad. Just because I'm talking about the lighting now, but the 5 basic lighting principles are that the light should be useful, directed only where needed, no brighter than necessary, controlled with timers or sensors, and warmer in color. So like not the bright white lights that kind of blind you, but like the softer tones or warmer tones, I should say. And the process can take between 1 and 3 years to actually get approved. The application fee, I told you, is only $250, but retrofitting a lot of these lights, hundreds or thousands of lights, can be really costly and expensive. So,
well, I think, it's really cool to go out there and to see, to actually see the stars with your eyes in these places. But I'm sure there is more of an environmental impact to why places, especially cities, are becoming dark sky certified. Yeah.
It's not just for wanting of a better view, I would think. You look at these lights sometimes and you know that artificial nighttime light can interfere with animals, with feeding.
Yeah.
Nocturnal animals, it can throw their patterns off. And I read a study a long time ago. This is me just going off here, but I read a study a long time ago saying that the invention of the light bulb and everything that came after it, keeping us up later hours, has disrupted our natural evolution as humans too, because we're not going to bed when the sun goes down, and when the sun comes up, we're able to stay up all night and do whatever. So,
we can recreate daylight, so we don't even know we're supposed to go
and then
to sleep.
looking at screens all day is messing up our rods and cones are all messed up.
If it does it to us, it's probably doing it for animals too.
Yes.
Interesting.
Also that, but there's also wasting of electricity and resources, but there's a cultural loss as well. For most humans in history, people regularly saw the Milky Way. Large portions of people now, I doubt that large portions of people even look up at the stars anymore.
Really? That's sad.
Like sometimes we sit in the backyard, we'll have a fire going, and we're
just look at
we're looking at the sky or whatever. But I doubt a whole lot of people even look up anymore. They're like, why? There's no TV up there.
That makes me sad.
There's no Netflix being broadcast up there, so why would we look up there? So one of the first places I want to talk about is one we just kind of mentioned, but Death Valley, because it's pretty close to where we are relatively. It's about 2 hours away in Nevada, in the West Coast region. I would say the West, not necessarily the coast by itself, but like the western part of the United States has a number of these locations, and we've visited a lot of them in the last 2 years. And probably the closest one to us is Death Valley.
Yeah. Which I think the reason we have so many of these designations on this side of the country is because a lot of our towns and our cities are more spread out. So there is a lot of kind of open land, I guess. And then, you do get these kind of wide swaths of nothingness. Yeah. So, you don't get as much light pollution in some areas. But as we were just saying, Death Valley, which is certified as a dark sky location, it hasn't lost the designation, but you're starting to notice that
you can
there's
definitely
still
tell
light on the horizon.
Yeah. And this is not this isn't a certification, that you keep forever. You can lose it. And there have been instances of places losing this certification because of light creep and everything else. But Death Valley was certified dark sky in 2013 and received their highest tier. I thought that said God tier, but it says gold tier classification used under the earlier certification system. The park size and isolation really kind of protected a lot from artificial light. Although, like you mentioned, the glow from Las Vegas and the Los Angeles one kills me, because if you look over the Sierra Nevada mountains, you can see almost this glow of Los Angeles, and you're like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So, but it demonstrates why the destination and the designation matter so much is the darkness. With the salt flats and the dunes and all the stuff they got going out there, one of the underknown parts of it is going out there at night and seeing the Milky Way in all its glory. Keep it right here. We're talking dark sky in the West. It's Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com, for all of our past episodes and interviews, all that good stuff. And you can check us out on any of the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, if there's other ones, Amazon Music, all kinds. And, do us a favor, leave us a 5-star review. Helps counteract those 1-star reviews.
He's a little salty.
Oh my God.
Somebody left us a 1-star review.
We got our very first 1-star review. They didn't leave any words. They just left us a 1-star review. And very salty about that. Because I'm like, look, we're not 1 star. Okay. If someone left us a 3-star, I'd be like, all right, whatever. But we're not 1 star. And to not leave any words like, oh, I didn't
we
like
also don't know what episode they chose to listen to.
And who it might be, but I think I've narrowed it down to a few possibilities. Number 1, I talk a lot of trash about Missouri and that scenic train in Branson.
That is true.
All right. Number 2, Bisbee, Arizona.
Well, they don't like our silly little shows.
Oh man, that might be them too. Or then, of course, I look at, we just talked about national parks and stuff. National parks have all kinds of 1-star reviews, and they're insane.
True.
I think we'll spend at least a segment in a future episode about the insane 1-star reviews that national parks
agree.
have.
I love reading them. I follow the national park Instagram account. I love it, but occasionally they do talk about them, and it's hilarious what people will leave a 1-star review on.
I think I saw Yosemite had one because somebody said they didn't have enough escalators.
Right. There were too many stairs. Is
There
how
were
they
too many
worded
stairs.
it. And somebody else left a 1-star that there was no Wi-Fi.
Oh my gosh.
Well, while we're talking about national parks.
Speaking of national parks, listen up, Bisbee. We're just talking about Death Valley, okay? So, and some of the practical first-time like places that people want to drive out to that make sense for if you're visiting for the dark sky, if you're bringing out your telescope and all of that, which gone are the days. I think there are a lot of kids get like telescopes.
Yeah.
I think little kids might get that My First Telescope kit, and then they kind of fall out of it, which I think is a shame.
Yeah.
You know?
We bought our kids a telescope when they were early teens, and we did take it out. Like, we drove about 30 minutes outside of the city into the desert and set it up a few times.
I'm pretty sure our daughter still has.
I think so.
She has hers and uses it.
Yeah.
Because Reno is not far off from dark sky. In fact, we'll talk about a place around, actually north of Reno, that has a designation that is a little harder to get to. But they do have some beautiful clear skies out that way. But if you're in Death Valley, rangers are going to recommend places like the Mesquite Salt Flat Dunes, which are beautiful in the daytime. So at night, I can only imagine. Like Harmony Borax Works, Badwater Basin. In fact, we went to the ridge that overlooks the Badwater Basin.
Yeah.
For the nighttime. We wanted to watch the sunset and the stars come out. And it was,
it was spectacular. Yeah. I remember that sunset vividly, and this was about 2 or 3 years ago we did this. That was the reddest sunset I have ever seen. Yeah. Usually a sunset has shades of oranges and pinks and purples. This sunset was solid red. It looked like the sky was on fire. It was incredible. It
really, really was amazing. And what's great is that a lot of these locations, they actually have festivals every single year. They'll have dark sky festivals. Flagstaff has a huge one that they do every single year. So there's Death Valley. Theirs combines their ranger programs, astronomy organizations, and telescope viewing, and scientists are out there.
Right.
Like, it's a way to get families back out looking at the sky and get kids interested in what they're doing.
I love that the national parks are starting to make the stargazing like a feature of the park. And there's several of them that are doing that. Great Basin is another one. And they have kind of this whole like ranger-led thing in the evenings, I think almost every single night, where there's like an amphitheater and you can go sit there and the rangers will talk to you about the stars and the constellations and stuff.
That's so cool.
It's just so neat that it's kind of like, as you said, bringing it back around to this kind of organized activity as opposed to just like, okay, go look at the stars.
I'm glad you mentioned Great Basin National Park, because I think it's number one, it's criminally underrated as a national park. A lot of people forget about it, that it's there, because there's other ones that are close near it that get more hype, like Zion National Park and places like that. But 290 miles north of Las Vegas, northeast of Las Vegas, the whole eastern side, basically, of Nevada could be its own dark sky designation. There's not a whole lot out there. Very small towns, but a really great national park. In fact, it was certified in 2016, and it has around it the mountain ranges and basin geography that help block the glow of even the little areas like Ely and towns like Baker and things like that sit around it and kind of act as bases for these national parks. But it may be the strongest all-around dark sky designation on their list, because it combines that genuine darkness with organized public astronomy like you were talking about.
Right. And I think, as you were saying, it's kind of an underrated park because it's not difficult to get to. There's just not a lot around it. So I think you have to be purposeful when you want to go to Great Basin. It's not like in Utah, which we're about to talk about those parks, but there's so many in very close proximity that they get a lot more visitors. Great Basin, as you said, there's just not, that whole side of the state doesn't have much. So you have to be intentional. That's what you're going to go hiking. You're going to go into the caves and you're going to stay and you're going to check out the stars in the evenings. Right. And it's an entire a trip, like from the time you wake up to go to bed, there is just something different to do, but you're really experiencing everything that the park has to offer.
So much so that they have a purpose-built astronomy amphitheater near the Lehman Caves Visitor Center. And like you mentioned earlier, they have a seasonal ranger-led program, including the constellation talks and telescope viewings and the annual Great Basin Astronomy Festival, which expands that program into, to other areas of the park and to knowledge and things of that nature. So, I mean, it's really beautiful. I mean, you could drive, I think, north in either northwest or northeast of Las Vegas, 2 hours in either direction and get some really clear, open views of the Milky Way system.
Well, another national park that's not too far from us that is also designated is Joshua Tree, which this one I think is a lot more accessible and more visited by people. But I think with that, it's the same problem you have anytime you go to a more popular location. It's going to be more people will be there. Yeah. But also, I find it hard to believe if Death Valley is already having light encroachment from LA, Joshua Tree has to be getting it too.
They say the best side is the east side.
Okay.
The east side away from Palm Springs, Palmdale, that whole area because of the city encroachment with the lights. Now, I don't know if there's anything going on in Palm Springs or Palmdale where they are trying to maybe work with that certification and like retrofit, because it does take a long time because it's hundreds of light bulbs, thousands of light fixtures. So I don't know if they're working in any kind of way, but I think that would be a way for the park and the city to kind of link up if they're not already doing it, to like keep that designation, because again, you can lose that certified dark sky.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is the area where Coachella happens, so they do have quite a large tourist situation happening there. And I imagine with that also comes more light. I mean, people are driving in, so you have more headlights coming in. You have more people with flashlights, things like that. But, it still does have the designation. So if you're interested in going to one, that might be an easier one to get to than Great Basin.
In Joshua Tree, they do have 4 designated stargazing areas: Quail Springs, Hidden Valley, Cap Rock, and Ryan Mountain. Okay. And they say the best campground for the darkest skies, or with the darkest skies, is Cottonwood Campground. So if you're headed out that way, try to get in one of those areas, or, timed out to hit the nighttime in one of those areas. Another one, and of course, national parks get all the headlines with the dark skies because, they're not fighting city stuff and doing all of that. But another really great one that we've seen firsthand, because we stayed for a sunset here as well, but the Grand Canyon.
Right, yeah.
Grand Canyon National Park, especially that southern rim, number one, spectacular sunsets.
Southern rim, which is right outside of Flagstaff,
which is
where
right
it all started, right?
Yeah. They got their full status in 2019. Let's see, they said its size wasn't its main challenge because it is a huge national park. The park had more than 5,000 outdoor lighting fixtures associated with the in-park lodges, roads, employee housing, and visitor facilities. So the certification effort required evaluating and changing thousands of those fixtures. Like I said, you can apply, and it still might take years to get the actual certification.
So I wonder if they come out and they say, okay, to actually be certified, you have to change, and they like list everything out, or they just come out and say, nope, you failed, and you have to like figure it out. You're like, okay, well, of my 7,322 lights, let me figure out which ones are right.
Just like when one light goes out on the Christmas tree, right, exactly. They all go out. And
You're like, let me test them all. Or if they come out and they say, okay, these 1,000 lights don't qualify.
I imagine if like a lot of these parks, older parks, are you had the Corps of Engineers and the CCC come out years and years ago and just built lodges and things like that. And they were, okay, you need lights. So we just put up lights and everything. And that was done in probably the 1920s or so. And now you're having to go back 100 years later and go, okay, let me replace all these old lights that provide so much, but you still got to have enough lighting for safety. You still got to have enough, especially if you have employees that live on the grounds.
Yeah.
If you have lodging inside the park, like the Grand Canyon does, they have beautiful lodges inside the park, but you can't have people walking off into the canyon.
Well, no,
that's
dangerous too.
Like the ground.
They're so enamored by the stargazing, they just walk off the side into the canyon.
Exactly. But they also have an annual Grand Canyon Star Party that provides free telescope viewing on both of their rims. Okay. And it usually runs in June or so. So it just passed this up, but the canyon itself often disappears, like we said, into the darkness, while the rim remains visible as a silhouette. So you can just feel, the Milky Way melting down into the Grand Canyon.
So cool.
That's got to be a sight. I want to go out there and see that for myself one day. Okay, book that for my birthday. All right, keep it right here on Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. We are not one star. My name is Jeremy Long. I'm your host. Here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
She's at least 4.5 stars of all of this. Anyway, we're talking dark sky designations. I'm not salty. Talking about the parks. Of course, the parks are the easiest ones for people to get into. I think Grand Canyon is probably the easiest one if you want to start your journey down, seeing, everything astrological and getting into that world, because it has lodging right there. It makes it really super easy to get in and out.
Yeah.
But there are a number of places that are so incredibly remote that I think it may take, the ordinary person some time to build up there, because you're going to go off-roading. You're going to do some primitive camping, but there are places like that do have this actual dark sky designation. And one of them, just keeping in our interests around here in Vegas, is in the northwesternmost part of Nevada.
Okay.
It is still a couple hours north of Reno. It is a place called Massacre Rim.
I haven't heard of this.
It's about, I want to say 45 miles east of Cedarville, California. So pretty close to the state lines up there and everything, but it's in the mountains. It takes a little bit to get out that way. There's no cell service, but it is considered a sanctuary. So the roads inside the sanctuary are extremely rough. The Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, recommends 4-wheel drive, high clearance, good tires, and also a spare tire, because you don't want to be out there with just 4. Snow and mud can make roads impassable from, in the wet times and everything.
So just remind me, and I'm trying to look back, but what is the difference between a dark sky park and a dark sky sanctuary?
Well, I think this isn't an actual park. This is like just an area of land that people go off-roading in.
So there's no official boundary to it.
Yeah, this is basically open range country. It's cattle and horses and wildlife. It may be standing in the road. Black cattle are particularly difficult to see at night, right? Don't want to do that. And it's just kind of one of those places that you can get to. But Massacre Rim is the purest dark sky experience I think we're going to talk about today. But Great Basin is, comparatively, I think it's a better recommendation as far as if you want to go out with the kids.
Yeah.
Go to Great Basin.
If you want to go primitive camping. And
I say that, and the only reason I included these kind of things is because there's always the people that want I want more. I've been to all 64, 63 national parks. I want the primitive off-road. I don't want to be around too many people at all. Okay. Well, here's some primitive places that still actually have the certification.
And that you can get to, still somewhat easily. Because like you said, most of Alaska is wilderness. It probably all is designated dark sky sanctuary. can't say the word
sanctuary.
but this, and if you don't feel like flying to Alaska and you're on the western side of the country, this could be a good alternative for you.
Yeah.
But it is going to require a little bit of effort to get there.
I think you combine it with other trips. You're going 4x4ing, you're going off road, or you're doing the primitive camping, and you want to make sure that the nighttime is, you're going to get the beautiful heavens.
Right.
All that heavenly glory, as Bruce Lee would say.
Right.
You don't want to miss out on that. Another place is the Oregon Outback. Now, the Oregon Outback Dark Sky Sanctuary was certified just recently in 2024. Its first phase covers roughly 2.5 million acres of southeastern Oregon, which makes it the largest international dark sky sanctuary.
So technically, it's in the same kind of vicinity as Massacre Realm, because
pretty close.
Not too far. So you could kind of like this whole area of the country. It seems like is sort of preserving this dark sky designation, I guess.
Yeah. So they have, approximately 1.7 million acres that are managed by the BLM. And the region is part of what researchers have identified as the largest contiguous dark sky zone in the United States. So not a whole lot out there that's going to be breaking up the dark skies. So like from Massacre Rim into southeastern Oregon, there's not a whole lot of like towns that stay lit after dark. Not a whole lot of like facilities and big things out there that are going to disrupt the skyline.
Well, it says absence of tall trees gives visitors wider views across the sky. So that's interesting to note, because we have been some places that were dark sky designations, but they were so heavily forested that you had to like find a place to see the sky.
And that's another good point. Like you could be in the middle of a forest, but if you
can't see through the trees,
if the trees are all 50 feet tall, you're not going to be seeing much unless you could find a clearing, right?
Right.
So it's also good to like know where those areas are. You're not just wandering down a path. I drove up, me and the dog. We went up to Winnemucca not too long ago, and we were out late, and we were just kind of driving around and outside of the city, and like he's asleep, but I'm looking out and everything. And you just get out there in these smaller cities. Like we're used to Vegas and its brightness. I mean, heck, we got a resort that still shines a light straight into the stratosphere. But it's called the Luxor, not the Strat. But it shines a light into the sky every night since its existence. So that's what I'm used to seeing. And then you go out where it literally was completely black. You and I driving down the loneliest road in America.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then in between, what was it? That little town, Austin. Between Austin and whatever was
Fallon, maybe
Fallon, something way out there. I mean, it's completely black.
It was
total
darkness.
The sky is just lit up with, and I'm like, I sometimes forget.
I know
how many stars there actually are, because I think looking in our backyard, we got like 4 or 5 that we see. We're like, oh, the stars are out.
We see some big, like the big ones from our yard, and some of the more well lit constellations, but we do not see the Milky Way. That's not something you can see when you are in Vegas proper. So it's still, we still get amazed when we go somewhere that you just see a whole sky full of stars.
Yeah. In Washington, they actually have what's called the Golden Dale Observatory. And this is kind of a cautionary tale. I told you that some things you can actually lose this designation. Washington's Golden Dale Observatory became one of the earliest international dark sky places in 2010. But in 2017, Dark Sky revoked its designation after the site failed to fulfill continuing requirements that involved not only just the dark sky, but public education, advocacy, and sky quality monitoring. There you go. Losing the certification, obviously the stars didn't disappear. Golden Dale remains a functioning public observatory that offers solar and nighttime programs. It's just the regular, and the regular programs are still free, reservations, blah, blah, blah. But the distinction matters. After you lose that distinction, a location can remain excellent for astronomy without remaining certified.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can still go there and see the stars. It's just saying all the things that is required to be certified dark sky. They didn't meet those requirements anymore.
Yeah.
Whether it's the type of lighting they're like, maybe they need to upgrade their lighting, or it mentioned public education. I didn't realize that was a piece of it, but it seems like it's way more than just having down facing warm lighting. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah. And I'm surprised there aren't more, because we have, I mean, here in the United States, our parks are always under attack whenever it comes to budgets and things like that, because, whatever, politics, rabble. But those are often the first things that get attacked, are the budgets for our national parks. I mean, these guys are running on 50 cents a day, and still politicians come in and they're like, we want 35 cents from your 50 cents. And anyway, but like, I'm surprised more places don't lose their designations, because the ranger programs are part of that public education. Right. The lighting itself must cost a fortune to, if you have to go back and retrofit and keeping, have all the upkeep and all that stuff. I'm really surprised that not more places don't kind of fall off.
Yeah, no, that's a really valid point, especially knowing, like, even here at our house, when we decided we wanted to switch to more energy efficient light bulbs, like, it's kind of a bigger upfront cost, because those light bulbs cost you more. They save you more in the long run, but most national parks don't have just an excess of funding to say, okay, we're going to change out every light bulb in the park to make us, more energy efficient and protect the dark sky. So the fact that any of them even qualify in the first place is kind of impressive.
Yeah. I noticed most of these they've been in for a while.
Yeah.
So a place that is still under designation, but north of the Grand Canyon, is a place called Parashant National Monument. Now, Parashant occupies the Arizona Strip north of the Grand Canyon, and it got recognized in that gold tier night sky status. It has super high plateaus, really clean air, which goes into it, a very sparse population, and it's frequently like clear weather. Being in the Southwest, not a whole lot of rain. Yeah. It's kind of arid conditions. But Parashant is administered jointly by the National Park Service and the Bureau of Land Management, but it doesn't provide that familiar national park experience. In fact, most people, unless you're from that area or around that area, you probably don't know it all that well, but it's a place that you could easily get to. It's just probably not going to have the perks that you're used to. Like, there aren't any paved roads in the monument. There's no entrance station, no reliable cell service, and almost no visitor facilities. So it's like one of those places that you can go out and get gold tier dark sky, but you may want to bring a coffee can.
It's wilderness. It's definitely wilderness. I know we've been in that area. We've driven around that area, and I visually can picture where it's at. And there's nothing out there, but that is also one of the areas where we drove through, and it had just rained, and we saw the most vivid rainbows we had ever seen. Because it's just, that part of the country is so beautiful. I love it. I think, and we'll talk about Southern Utah here in just a minute, but I believe that clean air too. Oh yeah.
I mean, not only the skies, but like you said, the rainbows and everything else that we've seen in that part of the country.
Yeah.
Some of the most vivid in the world.
Right.
Absolutely. There. Keep it right here. We're talking dark skies of the West. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and some practical stargazing tips. Now, you can find a lot of these on darksky.org or even on Visit Flagstaff's website. They have a whole section designated for their dark sky program, and they'll give you some stargazing tips because, sometimes people just walk out there and they spend 20 seconds and they're like, oh, okay, whatever. But there are tips and tricks to this, right? Like, number one, it kind of goes without saying, allow at least 20 minutes for your eyes to adjust. Every blast of white light can partially restart your eyes getting used to the dark.
Yeah.
And it's not, like you come out of a room that's the lights all on and then you go into the darkness and you're like, I'm blind.
It takes a minute.
It takes a minute. But even then, if you let your eyes adjust even more, you start getting more clarity. Your pupils adjust and all of that. And then you can start seeing more in the darkness.
Right.
Same way with stargazing.
Makes sense.
Every time you look down at your phone and blast your eyes with white, send in a text or whatever, you're going to kind of restart the process, right? Which leads into tip number 2, avoid ordinary phone screens. If you have it, activate a red night filter before arriving, reduce the brightness as far as possible. It says use a red flashlight. You got to special order those, but it preserves the night vision better than a normal white flashlight.
True.
If you're looking around at there. I used to wonder, remember those flashlights that had the red
I
filter?
didn't know what they were
I didn't
for.
know what that was for, but now
It makes sense.
Now it makes sense. 30 years later. Start with the brightest objects. Find the moon, visible planets, or recognized constellations before searching for faint galaxies, clusters, or the Milky Way. I know you want to start with like the things that you haven't seen, but start with
especially if you're using a telescope, like kind of orient yourself with that. If you're just sitting out there looking up, then whatever you see is what you see. But I think a really good one, and we kind of forgot this when we did go to southern Utah a couple of months ago, plan around the cycles of the moon.
Yeah.
Because we were going to a place, I don't know if it's truly a dark sky designation, but
it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. But we were also there during a full moon. So we did not really, we saw stars, but not like if it would have been dark.
No, and that's a good tip because the full moon lit up everything.
Mm-hmm.
It lit up everything.
So bright.
So bright. But also it washes out the stars.
Yeah.
So like
it was a beautiful moon, but we didn't get to see the Milky Way like we were hoping.
But as the moon progressed darker and darker over the next few days, like we saw more and more of that. So check when the moon rises and sets, wait for astronomical darkness. Depending on the season and the latitude, the sky may not be completely dark until well over, long time after sunset. So just plan ahead, do your best, and arrive before sunset to get everything set up so your eyes can naturally adjust as it gets darker and darker, right? Some practical tips. Look at us. That's at least 2 stars. Okay? Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. Please do that. Do it now. And on YouTube. Check us out there.
Yeah.
Our travel adventures and then some weird stories I find whenever we go on travel adventures. Both of them. Very popular.
1 star.
Best. Definitely 1 star, both of those. It's just my face on everything. I don't know why. No wonder 1 star. Anyway, we're talking dark sky designations and places here in the western part of the United States. Now, we don't have time to get to all of them.
All right. There's so many.
And I'm not even talking the very best. I'm talking about some of the ones that we've been to personally that we can vouch for.
Yeah.
The Grand Canyon, Death Valley, a lot of these places. But the West Coast and the western part of the United States, especially Utah, Oregon, Idaho, all these places. There's so many that you can go and get some great sky, if you're into the photography, like astrophotography or anything like that, or you're just like hunting the best stars at night that you can when you're camping or on road trips.
You just reminded me of something. Last year, you and I drove up to Reno to see our daughter, and we decided to come back down through California. And we ended up driving through Death Valley at night. and you were driving. And I know it was an unpleasant situation for you because there literally are no lights out there.
Yeah.
Hence the dark sky certification. And it was a bit of a I don't know, stressful drive because animals kept running across the road.
Oh, I hit a number of animals.
You did, unfortunately. Sorry, animals.
Sorry, PETA.
But do you remember right after a bird flew into our windshield, we happened to look up and we're like, look at the stars. And we literally stopped the car in the middle of the road and opened our sunroof and just sat there for like 10 minutes looking at the stars.
Yeah.
We had never seen, at that point in our life, had never seen that many stars at night before.
I was crying over the bird. You were concerned about the stars. You were like, be quiet. You're ruining this for me. And I was like, that poor bird. Oh my God.
Stop.
He's one with our vehicle now. And you were like, whatever. So, but yeah, it was really beautiful. And it happened to be a night where the moon wasn't high and full. Mm-hmm. It was very tiny. I don't, in fact, remember seeing the moon.
There was no moon that night. It was so
incredibly dark.
Hence why you kept hitting animals.
Talk about disrupting their cycle. Yeah, I did. I disrupted. Another place where we hit a lot of animals and had some fun, Southern Utah. We were kind of just talking about Southern Utah and our time over at Upland Escalante. And
we did not hit any animals.
just let you guys know. We want to go back there. Beautiful place. But like the town of Escalante and around there, there's so many places that are designated, like, of course, the national parks.
Yeah.
Bryce Canyon that's out there, Capitol Reef, the town of Torrey.
Oh, really?
Is designated a dark sky place. And so many of the others that are out there. Of course, like Zion and Springdale. Yeah. Springdale's a little town that sits outside of Zion. Those are all designated dark sky places. But, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go into one of those parks. I mean, where we were at Upland, like you walk outside on the porch. How many nights did we just turn off all the lights and just sit on the porch and just had a beer and just, wow, look at the stars.
Well, we were looking at the moon that night. But
well, one of those nights, we were just, the moon was watching us, dude, had a spotlight on us. But Southern Utah is almost an entire region. Yeah. That's dark sky friendly.
It really is. Bryce Canyon in itself is one of the most unique places you can go to visually during the day. Mm-hmm. And then, you mentioned Zion. To me, Zion has a lot of trees, as we talked about earlier. So there might be areas that you don't get as great of a view. But Bryce Canyon, there's so many overlooks at that park specifically. I think there was 18 or 19 overlooks just on the scenic drive. Yeah. Any of them would give you a credible view of the sky.
Man, yeah. And the scenic byway 12, doing that one at night. Yeah. Under the stars, like on one of those nights where the moon isn't present. I can imagine that's otherworldly.
Love it.
It's like, but being on a different planet.
Don't drive. Pull over if you're going to look at the stars.
That is stargazing tip number 6. Don't watch the heavens when you should be watching the road, or you may find yourself in the heavens. So we mentioned, of course, like Torrey and Flagstaff and these other places, but communities can have these designations as well, right? And it means something a little bit different. A dark sky community doesn't have to be as dark as, say, Massacre Rim or Death Valley. The designation recognizes a town's lighting ordinance, community support, education, and commitment to reducing their own light pollution. So that makes certified communities practical for travelers who want the lodging and, meals and accessible astronomy without the camping, I guess, necessarily or roughing it. So, you mentioned Flagstaff. Flagstaff became the first place in 2001, but there's also other cities such as, Torrey, I just mentioned, or even Sedona.
Oh yeah, Sedona.
Sedona has a designation. It became a dark sky community in 2014. Its advantage is not necessarily darker skies than the remote parts around it, but its advantage is combining the good darkness with red rock scenery, the hotels that are built in with the land and kind of work with the surroundings. They do a
great job of that in Sedona. Yeah,
restaurants and commercial stargazing tours. And it's all set out to maximize the attention on the heavens at night.
Interesting. Yeah, no, Sedona does a great job of not, how do I say it? Of like integrating, modern things, but into their natural landscape. So, I mean, they have very much kind of like restrictions on how buildings can look, things like that, because they don't want to distract from the natural beauty of the place. And the stargazing is part of that. Love Sedona.
Ooh, love it. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, Sedona is a beautiful place in itself. The red rock formations and all of that. You add that to a beautiful like summer night sky.
Oh, yeah.
Out there. I mean, come on, man.
I know.
Come on, man.
Come on, town of Sedona.
About 90 miles northeast of San Diego, there's a little place called Borrego Springs. Excuse me, I was burping. Borrego Springs and Anza Borrego.
Take a pause, Jeremy.
I was trying to muscle through it. Borrego Springs became the world's second international dark sky community in 2009. Like I said, it sits northeast of San Diego. It's almost completely surrounded by the 600,000 acre Anza Borrego Desert State Park.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know this.
So you have this little community and then a huge swath of land where they keep, the light pollution to a minimum. The state park received its own dark sky certification in 2018. So the relationship is really, really effective. The community controls its lighting, helping protect the dark sky surrounding the dark sky park.
That's interesting, being so close to a major city like San Diego and still have that designation.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect that.
And I think it's a good alternative to like Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
If you can't make it out there, or if you're just in that part of Southern California, but it's not that far away from San Diego. And yeah, I am kind of surprised with LA being right there and San Diego being right there. But I guess it's just...
It has to be the placement of the mountain, something.
It's got to be the mountains and the surrounding areas that kind of protect it and shield it from a lot of that encroaching light.
Right. It's interesting how that works, because you would think the light would still come over the top of the mountains, give a bit of a glow, but I guess not.
You can... I think that's a pretty good point, that you can still find these little areas of dark sky, within all these other areas with big surrounding cities. Giving the terrain or whatever can help do that. Another one in Utah, like Moab. Moab, of course, pretty close to, definitely close to Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park, two parks that also have these designation. But Moab became a dark sky community in 2024. So pretty recently, after years of revising their lighting rules, auditing the city's fixtures, and monitoring their sky quality. So it is a process to go through still. And in places like you would think Moab, they should have had that years ago, right? But it is something that you have to go back and
I love that you
have to kind of fight for it.
Yeah, I love that these towns and these cities, though, that they want it, and they are like revising things and upgrading things so that they can have this designation. I mean, I feel like so many cities don't care about that. It's nice to see that some really, really do and are leaning into it.
I like, again, not to back my own statement up, but like you have to go and like want this. It does cost money. There is upkeep. It is an ongoing thing. So you really have to put that in play, and it has to stay at the forefront, because it's very easy for a lot of towns out there to be like, well, we need the revenue, so let's just bring in the Sonic.
Yeah, let's
and
bring
they have
in
the bright lights
exactly.
and the blah, blah, blah. And do all that. Now, I'm not against the town's growth.
Or Sonic.
Or Sonic. God, I love Sonic. But you also have to work with them. They have to be good community partners and be like, we got this thing going on here.
Right.
You got to lower the lights at nighttime, or turn them off completely at a certain time or whatever in order to work within this community. So Moab, it also makes one of the easiest places to kind of build a complete dark sky vacation in, because of its unusually dense collection of certified places, right? I just talked about Arches National Park, Canyonlands that are literally next door to each other, Dead Horse Point State Park, and the community of Castle Valley all around that, all dark sky designations. So right out there in like that eastern part of Utah, I mean, that's already, they're having a moment. The last few really years, Moab has sort of like really popped up, thanks to social media, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And marketing in general, but like they're having that moment, and it's good to see that you can go out there and not only have fun in the daytime, but also get some incredible, dark sky opportunities.
I absolutely agree with that. I think so many people are really starting to come back to appreciating the outdoors and things like stargazing, that these parts of the country that really cater to that are seeing a big kind of uptick in tourism.
Yeah. Well, final recommendations. If you had to choose between Death Valley or Grand Canyon, which would you tell people to hit up?
I mean, they're both great. But I personally was just enthralled with the stargazing in Death Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, just for me. Yeah.
Well, we got to go check out Great Basin. Then we'll give you a recommendation there between the three. And then Southern Utah, of course, has places everywhere. Wrote them down. I hope you have fun out there looking at the stars. Don't do it while driving. 1 star, right? Unscaled Travel Show. We'll see you guys next time.